Here from Aussie Homestead. I'm just going to start a series of videos and I'll put them in my playlist and I'll call them Ways to Make Money Off Grid. It's buying and selling or making things that you can actually make at home quite easily. We'll call this part one, and this is the Viking axes that I make and I sell them on eBay. I buy a full-size axe from the garage sale, so this had around about 150mm or 6 inches longer on the handle. And it also was a lot wider, so it was a full-size axe. So I cut it with a slitting disc or a very thin cutting disc, cut all the way around it and cut all the way through it. And then I cut these indents into it with a grinding disc like that. And then I also scooped it out through that middle part there. So we'll have a look down the profile of it and you'll see what I mean. See how it's scooped out? From this point here to this point here is all scooped out. And that makes it a lot lighter, so you can swing this around with one hand or even two hands if you want all day. And then I've ground the edge up. This is way off finish. This has to be polished. This is the rough sort of prototype for this design. I'll give you a look down all of the down the way there so you can see the profile of it. Let's look in that direction. And you'll notice it's got Odin written on it, which is the Viking god, Odin. Leather protector there, so when you miss the tree you don't damage your handle. Just a brown stain, just a decking stain. And a leather handle there. You can mount it onto one of these tactical belts, and to do that I made up a handmade pouch for it. So it's just all hand sewn. Press stud there to keep the axe in there. The axe goes up through there, and it goes like that. And then there's a belt loop, so you can actually hang it on your belt. So this is just a prototype to see if I can get all the design right and the sizes right before I go ahead and mass produce, for want of a better argument, make a lot more of them. But you can see the profile of it. It's nice and fat at the front, so it's good for cutting trees. It's also good for debarking trees. And then I'll harden all this edge up, so this will all be very, very hard along this top edge. So I'll heat that up with the gas gun, and I'll dip it into oil, and then I'll heat it up again, and then I'll plunge it into water. That's how they used to temper their swords back then. They would have used animal oils back then because, of course, they didn't have cars, they didn't have oils. But they would have used animal fats and animal oils and would have dipped it in that. But that divot there, what that does is this now is 4:1 ratio. So it's 4 times heavier here than it is here, which means that it's a throwing axe. And if you've ever seen the movie Vikings, or you've seen Viking movies, you'll see that when they throw them, they are extremely accurate, and they could chuck these axes with massive accuracy. And if you get the weight ratio just right, you can use these as throwing axes. So you can practice on a tree your number of turns. You'll soon get used to how to do it. So that little pouch there goes on there, belt loop on the belt, carry that around all day. You can shove it into your backpack, and it's not too heavy. It's really quite light, but yet still got enough grunt to be able to cut down a tree. And they used to do all their boat building and cutting down trees and everything with them. I mean, when they conquered England, they always had their axe, and they always had their shield, and they always had their shield made. And so there you go. That's just one of the items that I make for making money off grid, and I'll call this number one, or part one, of a series that I'll put into the playlists on how to make money off grid. The next thing we'll probably do is weld up a fuel canister holder. So they're the ones that go on the back of the four-wheel drives and on trailers to hold your 20-litre fuel containers. But I'll leave you off with this one. And if you've got any questions about the how to grind it or cut it, or you need a pattern or anything, just let me know in the comments, and I'll only be too happy to answer it. But that's about it for now. That's Andy signing off from Aussie Homesteads and part one of how to make money off grid. Bye.